I'm a Virginian, I'm American, and I'm not going to. Actually, I guess I am going to kind of have to take it for a little bit longer. Today, we are diving into the new gun laws facing the Commonwealth of Virginia. As a Virginian, I did a video not too long ago about what I might have to do based on if these laws pass or not. And today, we're going to be diving into a little bit more specifics as some of these bills have been moving forward and passed through the legislature, what they mean to me, and particularly why what is being done to attack the Second Amendment here in Virginia is incredibly important to everybody else across the country. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of The One Row, where we focus on preparedness, everyday carry, Second Amendment stuff, and really just trying to be prepared for whatever this crazy world is going to throw our way. And today, we're talking a little bit more about the gun laws that the Commonwealth of Virginia face. I have been here in Virginia since 2008, and they are going to directly impact me very, very much because I am a very strong supporter of the Second Amendment. That pistol behind me is actually an old 32 short revolver, mother of pearl inlaid grips, that my grandfather actually had when he was a sheriff in Arizona. So my family goes back as strong supporters and whatnot of the Second Amendment since at least him, probably before then. But my dad passed it on to me when I was a kid, took me shooting a lot. I am very passionate about the Second Amendment. And when it comes to preparedness, whether it be the end of the world as we know it to walking from your office to your car in a bad area of town, you should have the right to defend yourself. But before we get into it, if you do end up enjoying this kind of content, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you could, help us get the message out, help us get exposed to more people, and also come check out our live streams on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. First, we're going to talk about the specific laws and where they stand in the legislative process. Then we're going to talk about these laws and how they may or may not pass, the likelihood of them actually standing. And then we're going to talk about why it matters to everybody across the country, as many of these laws are new attempts from a different angle to try to defenestrate the Second Amendment. As of today, which is February 7th, HB 217, which is the most troublesome of the laws, in my opinion, has passed the House of Delegates, and that is the one that basically prohibits the manufacture, purchase, possession, transport, transfer of assault firearms. Notice they didn't say rifles, but assault firearms. Specific firearms that they're targeting here are semi-auto center fire rifles, pistols, or shotguns with features like pistol grips, threaded barrels, folding stocks, the ability to accept detachable magazines, and really anything that allows ammunition feeding of more than 10 rounds. So that is not just, traditionally when people talk about assault rifles, they're talking about AR-15s. This could be a 9mm pistol, basically any Glock that can hold more than 10 rounds, which is any double stack Glock mag, for example. So it's pistols, rifles, shotguns. This would be a class 1 misdemeanor where you'd face up to 12 months in jail and a $2,500 fine per infraction, so per magazine or per firearm. And if you are convicted of it, then you would be barred from owning firearms for at least 3 years post-conviction. Another one is HB 21, which basically is holding the gun industry accountable for violent crimes, allows them to be sued, and they must, it's called the standard of responsible conduct is the phrase they're throwing around. But basically, it allows the attorney general or other injured persons to go after them. It's a civil thing. Next is HB 110, which has also passed the House of Delegates, and it imposes penalties for leaving firearms unattended in vehicles. So if you're a concealed carry permit holder, but you go to the post office and you can't carry into a post office because that's out of bounds, so then you have to leave your pistol in the car. Well, now you've left it unattended. So now if you're going to the post office, not only can you not take it in the post office, but you can't take it in the car when you're going to do errands that include places where you would have to leave the firearm in the car traditionally. The only way around that is if you were to have some sort of a gun storage device, lockable metal container permanently installed. And there are others. There's some companion bills going through the Senate that have similar versions of these, but overall that looks like they're going to move forward. What actions do we have? Yes, we need to call our delegates. We need to call senators, the governor's office. We need to do all the political action stuff. We need to support, gun owners of America and all the other 2A defense organizations. Give them the funds that they need to litigate this. But the reality is that these are probably going to pass in Virginia, and they're going to go into law July 1st. Now, hopefully, immediately after the law passage, it'll be sued. It'll go before a judge, and the judge will basically implement an injunction to keep the laws from going into effect until it's been litigated. And so that's likely going to happen. And so the laws are going to pass. An injunction will be put in place where basically at a minimum, and there is no grandfather clause. For those of you that are wondering, a grandfather clause would basically be saying a clause that if it was purchased before the implementation of the law, then it's grandfathered in. That does not exist. Some people say that Bruen will throw it out, and I don't think that's true. Based on my understanding of what Bruen and Heller both did, this will really not apply, because what they're doing is they're going after the definition of an assault weapon. And they're not necessarily going after a ban, a complete restriction of firearms. They're going after particular aspects of firearms. And the situation is that the Supreme Court, though I love Bruen and I love Heller both, they don't actually get into the specifics of gun parts too much, at least not from the perspective of like a threaded barrel or the ability to hold a higher capacity magazine. So what they're trying to do is say, well, because you can still have a revolver, you can still have your concealed carry permit, and you can still carry those weapons as long as you don't carry them in the places we don't want you to carry them. But you can't have high capacity magazines or a firearm that takes a quote unquote high capacity magazine, which today, honestly, let's face it, a high capacity magazine as it would be defined 20 years ago is standard. Hopefully it'll work its way up, and hopefully it'll get to the Supreme Court, and hopefully the Supreme Court will accept one of the cases, whether it be for Virginia or for another state, where they clearly and explicitly define the outline of the Second Amendment. Because, like I said, they haven't really addressed some of the specificities that Virginia in particular is going after. Now, if it does get to the U.S. Supreme Court at the highest level, and the court is willing to take the case, then I'm confident that this and other laws will get thrown out. So I am hopeful, and in my last video I talked about moving to West Virginia, and that is actually still on the table potentially from sometime in the next couple of years to 6 years when I can actually leave the Virginia, D.C. metro area. Virginia is a historically purple state. It was historically a red state, and then it's become a purple state, and now it's a blue, very strong leaning blue leaning purple state. There are some other states where we are seeing politically a move from red to purple. And the problem with that is they're going to look at this new approach to attacking the Second Amendment, and they're going to use it because, well, they want to take guns away from law-abiding citizens. But they're going to take this approach, and they're going to see how it goes. And then they're going to, because they're, this, of course, they call it common sense. It's common sense gun control, right? It's common sense. And they're going to take this and they're going to move it towards other states. And here are the four key things that they're going to do, the four key parts of this blueprint that they're going to use in your state. Particularly, again, if you are a blue state, if you are a purple state leaning blue, if you are a purple state or even a red state leaning purple, pay attention to this. One is they're going to try to pass laws to go after the gun industry. If they can effectively litigate through essentially civil lawsuits, go after the gun industry. And we've seen this already. It's not like it's a brand new thing. We saw California going after Glock. We've seen other states threaten other gun manufacturers in the past. And they're going to pass these laws that open up these gun companies, whether it be firearms manufacturers, suppliers, ammunition suppliers, and using this, code of responsible conduct, right? And they're going to go after them. Next, another thing that they're doing here in Virginia is they're increasing the big beautiful bill removed the $200 tax stamp, the NFA tax stamp. In Virginia, they've decided to implement a tax stamp, a state fee on NFA items. So when you go to get a suppressor, even though it's $0 to the federal government, it's now going to be $500 to the state of Virginia for suppressors or short barrel rifle, whatever tax stamps you're going for. So they're going to go after that kind of thing. They're looking on additional excise tax, both on firearms, suppressors, ammunition. And what this is going to do is going to raise the barrier for entry for people to get into firearms. The third area that you need to pay attention for as a blueprint in your jurisdiction that might be coming your way is a broader definition of assault weapon. It's not an assault rifle; it's an assault weapon. It can be it can literally be a 3-inch barreled pistol, and they're going to say, well, it can hold more than 10 rounds, as if there's some magic safety mechanism that you have between the 10th round and the 11th round, because an 11th round would be really dangerous, whereas a 10th round, that's okay. Again, most gun laws are arbitrary restrictions that are cobbled together over the last 40, 50 years, really since the 30s. And so if you look at the history of gun control legislation across the country, particularly at the federal level, it's literally a joke. It's so ridiculous. Also, you're going to be facing mandatory secure storage penalties, whether it be in your car or in your home if there's minors. We've got some here in Virginia that they're looking to pass, which is the car one, which we talked about earlier. But we also have some that are around minors. You know, if you have a minor in your home, you can't have any unlocked guns. An additional law that they're working on, it hasn't passed here yet, are additional waiting periods. And I know that's common in some states already. Here in Virginia, essentially, if you are, they do currently have a gun on the book where if you buy a pistol? If you do not have a concealed weapons permit and you buy a pistol, you have to wait. You can only buy one pistol a month. I don't know why. That's a weird rule to me. But anyway, that's the law in Virginia right now. And if this new rule passes, there will basically be a 5-day waiting period. So those are just 5 of the things that they're working on here in Virginia, and they've done some of these elsewhere. But the reason that this is important is, again, Virginia is not a deep blue state. We're a purpley state. We just happen to get this misalignment of our legislature and governor all being blue at the same time. So there's really no balance of power right now. In the past, the presidential election has come down to only a couple counties here in the state, and the vote, differential is only a couple percentage points. And I guess my point in this video and my message to all of you is, yes, this is just Virginia. And I know some of you folks in Montana or Texas or, whatever other Second Amendment friendly, Florida, whatever Second Amendment friendly state you're in, and you're like, man, I'm glad I'm not in Virginia. Well, I wish you were here, because then you would have hopefully voted to support the Second Amendment, and we may not have been in this situation. But it's not your fault, because you made the wise decision to move away from DC if you were ever here in the first place. So, but this is important, because if Virginia flips, if other states start to flip, and you start to see these common strategies hit other states, there's going to be momentum built. They're going to figure out how to crack the code to come after the Second Amendment. Anyway, I wanted to update all of you on what's going on here in the state of Virginia, why it matters to you. Yes, sucks to be us here in Virginia, but it's a warning. It's a warning, a clarion call. It's a sign of things to come, potentially to your state, and if not to your state, what they're going to try to do at the federal level. The only way for us to defeat this is if we actually fight. If we just sit quietly and don't do anything, then they're going to essentially continue to muddy the waters of the Second Amendment until there is very little of it left. Anyway, hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, please smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We'll see you next time.